A sea prison worth hundreds of billions, built to hold just one person. 100,000 guards watching around the clock. Even the top 10 supremes had to bow before me. 8 of the nation's 10 war gods? I trained them myself. And all of that, because I was the most feared king of the underworld in all of Xia. Today was the day I walked free. I hadn't even stepped outside yet, and there was already a crowd waiting. A young girl, flushed red from the heat, couldn't hold back. Grandpa, the Chen family is worth hundreds of billions. We're literally one of the most powerful clans in the capital. What's so special about this Qin Jiang guy that we had to come all the way out here to wait for him? The old man beside her, dressed in a traditional Tang suit, exploded. Shut your mouth! The title of King of the Underworld is not something you get to say so casually. Anyone who walks out of that prison is enough to shake the entire world, and yet every single one of them still kneels before the king. Do you understand why? The girl looked shaken, but she pushed back anyway. So what? Is he really more powerful than the war god kings guarding the nation's borders? The old man scoffed. The war god kings guard Xia's borders. Each one of them is enough to send enemy armies running in terror. But what you don't know is that 8 out of 10 of those kings were trained by him. The girl went pale, unbeatable at such a young age. That wasn't something any normal person could pull off. The thought hit her hard. When she looked back at the prison gates, her eyes were filled with something close to reverence. Right then, a red Ferrari and 3 Humvees pulled up at the prison entrance. A stunning woman stepped out. This was Shen Rushuang, the crown jewel of the powerful Shen family in Shanghai, a war god king in her own right, and the last disciple of the legendary doctor Qingma ghost physician Gei Hong. They called her the top healer of the southern region. Shen Rushuang took off her sunglasses and stared coldly at the prison gate. A moment later, the gate swung open. A young man strolled out like he owned the place. Shen Rushuang frowned, pulled out a photo, took a look, then glanced back at the guy, looking all laid back and unbothered. She clicked her tongue. You're Qin Jiang? Just got out today, right? She crossed her arms, looking down at me like I was beneath her. I frowned slightly, already annoyed. You looking for me? Shen Rushuang tossed the photo to her bodyguard, pulled out a marriage contract, and said flatly, Before your mother was kicked out of the Qin family, she came to my family and arranged a marriage. I'm only here to tell you, I'm calling it off. Don't come bothering the Shen family once you're out. Hearing that name, I froze for a second. My mother had mentioned it before, that the Shen family of Shanghai owed her a massive debt of gratitude. They promised their daughter would marry me, and that if I ever needed help, the Shen family would be there. But when my mother was framed and died, the Shen family was nowhere. When I was wrongfully thrown in prison, still nowhere. And now, the second I get out, their daughter shows up just to break the engagement. My expression darkened. Shen Rushuang looked at me with cold, almost pitying eyes. The gap between us would just make you feel inferior. Even if you married me, you'd spend your whole life living in my shadow. That said, if you ever can't put food on the table, feel free to call me. And I'd suggest going to apologize to Wang Yanjun after this. You might still have a shot at getting back into the Qin family. She held out a business card. When I didn't take it, she dropped it on the ground, grabbed the marriage contract, and tore it to shreds right in front of me. Let it fall to the ground, got in her car, and drove off without looking back. I watched her go, eyes narrowing, something cold flickering in my gaze. The Qin family, the ones who drove my mother to her death. I'd be paying them a visit sooner or later. What's waiting for them is blood for blood, and nothing but darkness. At the same moment, the old man who'd been waiting nearby shook his head. Our clans are worth trillions. We'd do anything to get our granddaughters close to the king. And that Shen Rushuang, she couldn't see what was right in front of her. She threw away the opportunity of a lifetime with her own hands. Laughable. The old man stepped forward, just about to bring something up. Then my phone buzzed. It was a message from Su Zhenghe. Little Jiang, you're out today, right? Come straight to Jiangbei. Let's talk about you and Wei Wei's wedding. I looked at the message and raised an eyebrow. Su Zhenghe, the man who'd been like a savior to my mother and me back in Jiangbei. He had once promised that when the time was right, his daughter Su Tianwei would marry me. That was also my mother's dying wish. I let out a quiet sigh and replied with an okay. I looked up at the old man and the girl, both completely soaked in sweat, and waved them off. Whatever you need, bring it up when I get to the capital. Not long after, I landed. The moment I stepped off the plane, my face fell. Shen Rushuang was sitting on a couch in the waiting area. I scowled hard. She spotted me too, and a flash of contempt crossed her eyes. Qin Jiang, seriously? No matter how hard you chase, I'm never marrying you. Shen Rushuang shook her head and sighed. Her secretary, Cheng Yueting, stepped forward. My lady already called off the engagement and you still followed her here? Really? Have some self-respect. Cheng Yueting's face went ice cold. Plenty of guys punch above their weight, but I've never seen anyone this shameless. I gave her a cold look. You've got the wrong idea. I just happened to be passing through. Cheng Yueting scoffed. Happened to be passing through? More like you saw my lady's face and her money and staged a whole coincidence to try to impress her. You're an ex-con. Doesn't matter how hard you try, you'll never be worthy of my lady. Shen Rushuang's expression darkened too, eyes sharp as frost. This guy is something else. He secretly followed her, got caught, and still won't admit it. Pathetic. I laughed coldly, didn't bother looking at either of them, pulled out a room key card and made a call to wait for my ride. Zhao Wudi, the king of Jiangbei who once swore loyalty to me on Demon Training Island, had already heard I was coming and sent Jiangbei's richest man to pick me up. The card in my hand? The key to the most expensive villa in Zhangbei. Shen Rushuang saw I wasn't leaving and actually sat back down. Her expression shifted. She was just about to get up and leave when an elderly woman suddenly collapsed on the floor. A crowd swarmed around her. A voice cut through, "I'm a doctor, move!" A man with glasses pushed his way in, checked her pulse, then shook his head. "Cardiac failure. I don't think she's going to make it." The second those words landed, a little girl in the crowd burst into tears. I looked over, frowning. The old woman's lips were white, her forehead drenched in cold sweat, joints cramping. This was cardiac arrest triggered by severe myocarditis. An ordinary doctor wouldn't be able to do much. But for me, all it took was channeling energy into 3 specific pressure points, Guanyuan, Zhuke, and Tiantu. Within 2 minutes, her heart would restart, and not just temporarily. No hospital visit needed after this. Doctors these days are too focused on Western medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine is where the real power is. A quiet smile crossed my face as I walked over and crouched down. I pressed a few points on the old woman. "Just give it 2 minutes, she'll wake up." Cheng Yueting watched with a flash of fury. "Miss, look what he's doing! What a creep!" The old lady's literally dying and this guy is just grinning and touching her all over. Something is seriously wrong with him. Shen Rushuang's brow furrowed deeply. She stepped over just as I stood up. "Let me handle this." Cheng Yueting rushed over too, shoved me aside and shot me a glare. "Step back, my lady's got this." Shen Rushuang pulled a few silver needles from her pocket and began inserting them into 13 acupuncture points. Guanyuan, Zhuke, Tiantu, and more. I stood back, frowning quietly. I'd already done the work. The old woman would wake up in 2 minutes regardless. Shen Rushuang's needlework wasn't wrong, and it wouldn't hurt the patient, so I said nothing. Sure enough, 2 minutes later, the old woman's eyes slowly opened. "She's awake, that's incredible!" The hall erupted. Everyone turned to Shen Rushuang with admiring looks. Shen Rushuang was stunned. She'd only gotten halfway through the treatment and wasn't even fully confident. So why had the patient woken up so fast? Had her skills really improved that much? After a brief moment of surprise, a satisfied look crossed her eyes. Cheng Yueting took it in stride and announced proudly, "This is Shen Rushuang, inner disciple of the legendary Qingma ghost physician." A case like this, easy for her? Those few words hit the room like a rock dropped in still water, gasps everywhere. People swarmed Shen Rushuang like she was a celebrity, business cards flying, everyone trying to get in her good graces. I stood there, stunned. The Qingma ghost physician Ge Hong had gone to Demon Training Island 3 times, begging with tears in his eyes, to take me as his master.